Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Scott Bland here. We are going to be going over a new big policy that the Army just put out. I do happen to be a flight surgeon in the Army National Guard, but I am not speaking on behalf of the DoD. This is just a guy talking. So they just announced today that they were going to come up with a new policy that would allow a pretty unprecedented, hey, you can physically test out of the Army weight requirements. Now, the need to make the actual Army weight there's a pretty tight height versus weight ratio that they have set up. And for a lot of folks who are very athletic, it's actually really hard to get back to that weight. It really does demand a pretty thin frame. And so one of the troubles that folks have always had is if they're pretty athletic, they end up doing the secondary measurement called making tape, where they literally get out a flexible fabric tape and they run it around your waist and they run it around your neck and they do a body measurement calculations and they come up with the ways to kind of calculate your BMI that way. The Army does not tend to pop in for the idea of doing like those body composition scanners and stuff like that. That is not the kind of thing that they spend money on because there are just so many testing locations. And the goal is that any unit can just grab enough NCOs and they can do the testing that they need to make it happen. So that is a thing that is not a big issue there. So what they've done now is they have given us a new thing. So let's kind of go through that here. So this just shows here, and it says that effective immediately, if you can score a 540, and that is not a minor score, by the way, if you can score a 540, then you don't have to deal with the notion of dealing with height and weight. You just literally don't have to deal with it. And that is a pretty interesting thing because it's just something that really gives you some freedom if you're a high-end athletic performer. Now, let's kind of go through other things to note here. There's a couple stipulations. One, specifically, not just a score of 540. You have to have a 540 and at least an 80 in every single event, and only in the primary events. If you are dealing with the alternate events, you're doing the walking event, you're doing the swimming event, you're doing the rowing event, then this does not count. This is not going to do you any good. That does not help you right now. The other thing to note is that if you're in the National Guard, I happen to be, you get this score. This buys you 14 months of no one's going to hassle you about your body composition, and you get a pass there. They will still stand you on a scale and do all that. But if it comes down to, hey, you didn't make the normal height versus weight requirements, so we're going to go ahead and tape you, at this point, you pop out that 540 score and you're done. You don't have to deal with it anymore. And you're not getting flagged in terms of your promotion points. You're not getting flagged for schools and things like that. It's a pretty good deal. Now, the issue some of the folks might not quite understand because they seem to keep changing the scores a little bit lately is what exactly does it take to score a 540 and get 80 on every event? So let's kind of run through that. So if you're a male, you're doing 240 on a deadlift 3 times, not impossible. If you're a female, you're doing 160. If you're doing a power throw, this is where you literally turn around and you throw a medicine ball back over your head. Males are doing 9.3 meters. That's like 27 feet and change. Females are doing 58 or 5.8 meters. The males are doing 37 push-ups. Now, it may seem like 37 push-ups is not a ton. It's actually not. But this is those hand release push-ups, and you only have 2 minutes to do them, and you lose some time when you're going to dropping your chest to the ground and then having to break contact with the ground with your hands. Females are doing 27 there. And then the sprint drag carry, the event that I hate the worst. This is that kind of shuttle run event where you're dragging sleds and you're picking up kettlebells and you're running with them. You're doing that annoying side straddle kind of run thing. At that point, 153, that is not a minor score. I have reasonable cardiovascular health for a guy my age, and 153 is not something I don't think I could do right now. But for the younger folks, which is what these scores are all ranked for, that's the standard for males. Females 228, planks 235. I don't think I could do a 235 right now. I was low 1 minute and change for my last ACFT that I passed, but that's the standard to get an 80 point. So that's a pretty high planking score there. And then for the 2 mile, they've actually slowed down the 2 mile requirements when they went to the ACFT. When I was doing the Army physical fitness test, the APFT, I didn't have to run much faster. I want to say it was like 17 or 18 minutes and change. And that's as a 42-year-old male, which is one of the slower categories. But now I think my minimum is now like a 22 minutes. So they added like a couple of minutes worth of extra slack there. But to score 18, sort of the 80 points, you need 16 minutes and 57. So you got to break a 17-minute 2 mile. Not impossible, but not easy to fake. So if you're not running on a regular basis, you're probably not doing that. And then the females have to do 19:17. Now, the other important thing to mention here is that's only 480 points. So you have to get 80 points minimum per event. If you times that by 6, that's only 480. You still got to come up with the 16 other points, right? And 60 extra points when you're already scoring that high is, again, not an unreasonable amount of work. Like if you're a high athletic performer, you can probably do that, but it is not something that's necessarily easy. So if you're not someone who's really kind of putting effort into your physical fitness on a significant basis, you're not going to be doing this. So this is an important thing that I think is pretty decent in terms of trying to reflect what the point of height and weight was to begin with in my mind. And that was to have a decent metric, a surrogate to kind of talk about what standard kind of shows that you're probably capable of doing your soldier task. What shows that you're probably capable of doing the things that your fellow soldiers need you to do, the things that the mission needs you to do, the things your organization needs you to do. And frankly, if you can pop a 540 on an acft, you're probably capable of that regardless of what dimensions your abdomen is versus your neck. And so I think that that is a nice little caveat for those who've been having trouble making it. They're not going to be so stressed out about it anymore as long as they maintain their physical capacity. But I also think that the number of people this is going to apply to is probably reasonably small, because the type of physical work it takes to get to the point where you can do a 540 will probably get your body composition pretty close to the point where you would have passed tape anyway. We'll see how it goes. Ask some questions below, and we'll see how long these particular physical standards change, because everything seems to be in flux. But that is the big news. If you are a PT stud, you might not have to deal with the Army weight and tape anymore, and you can just put that 540 on the line and get the pass and move on with your life. So hope you guys have a good day, and hopefully the internet works better this time around, and we'll see you later. Bye.